Vicente Cruz, school board candidate for West Oakland District 3, here with citizen Dante. And then let me ask you, for elected officials, what do you think, as elected officials, what should we do for the people? Well, education, I like to take a larger view of it. Like I had said before, for me, running for school board, and then even though it's not city council, I see a lot of the issues as intertwined. And I had mentioned like the prison industrial complex. I think that directly affects our youth. So as an elected official, if you're the citizen, and you're the voter, you're going to vote for someone, what do they have to do to get your vote?
Well, for me, they definitely have to focus on education. I definitely feel that is, I feel that our country is vastly underperforming compared to others, and that, especially in that regard, it needs to change. And I think like it needs to be a more holistic change. I feel like almost everything we do is wrong.
Right.
I feel like it just, we need a clean sweep, because a lot of people, and the way our system works now is it's bad, but then like a lot of money's thrown at it, and then it goes up maybe for a year or two, but it takes like billions of dollars to do that, and then it just goes back down. Like how do you feel like you'd be able to change that?
Well, for me, the biggest one is coming out and talking to people. I feel like elected officials right now have not been the voice of the people. So if someone comes to me and says, we were talking about 10-year or closing schools, if the community comes and says, you know what, this school is really underperforming, we would like to close this school and merge it with this school, we think this would be better, I have to listen to that. Whether or not that's my personal opinion, as a school board member, that doesn't matter. I mean, as a citizen, I would say, no, I don't want to close that school, I'd rather make that school better. But if my electorate says we want to merge these schools together, we think it would be better, I have to follow it. So that's one way. Another way is being a radical change. Like you said, everything's messed up. The whole system needs to, wipe it clean, like an etch-a-sketch, and completely wipe it clean and start over. And so where we are paying teachers better, making sure they're credentials, thinking of even stepping it up so that we're bilingual. There is no reason that we're in California, why our kids should not be speaking Spanish and English. Right? It would help. Imagine when you're trying to go to college and you go and say, oh, I'm already bilingual. I'm not talking about kids that are already Spanish speaking. I'm talking about brothers and sisters from the hood that only speak broken English even. Now I'm going to try to get into a school. They're like, oh, but you're bilingual. It's like, oh, we've already taught you. So those are some of the ways. But I think the biggest one really is listening to the people who voted for us.
Yeah, well, see, there's like there's only like a few that really feel like these changes should be made.
Right.
Because most people that are put in these positions, although we all believe that the education system is messed up, how do you go about doing something like getting rid of tenure, or to make it in a way that that's more effective and more conducive to younger people?
Right, so that it doesn't end up rewarding bad teachers. Well, it is true that if I'm elected by myself, it would be very, very difficult. But what we're doing with the Oakland Green Party is we're putting a whole slate of candidates. So we're trying to run candidates for every open seat, all the odd districts right now. So imagine if all three of these slate, the Oakland Progressive Alliance candidates win. Now there's three of us on the board, and it has to always come up because you can have someone who will make a motion, someone will second it, and then we have to discuss it as an agenda item. It means we'll have to talk about it, debate it, and actually vote on it. So even if it doesn't get voted down in one meeting, no, we're going to keep tenure. Really? Well, we're talking about it next week, because right now it's not working. And giving it to high school teachers, we had this before. I was talking about when I was a teacher, when I was an educator, I had a teacher who was just yelling and screaming at these kids, and their kids are underperforming. I was like, no, you can stay because you have tenure? No, you can't. You really have to go. Whether you've been here too long, that really doesn't concern me. The fact that you're not an effective teacher concerns me. And then I have no teachers that are effective. They get fired because they are teaching more, I don't even like labels so much, but more progressive views. So if I have a teacher, and we talked about this too, that is going back and talking about a black Muwafa, a genocide on African peoples, whether that be Mexican, whether that be right from Nigeria, or whether you be from Puerto Rico, or right here in Oakland. There is a genocide that's happening to us, and if a teacher is going out and saying that, and then you fire them for speaking truth to power, That makes no sense, right? So you have someone who, and then what? Even if they have tenure, somehow you find a way to get rid of them, but the teachers that are underperforming, you still keep them? No, it has to. So those are, like I said, it's a big concern, but if we get the whole slate, I think then you really see not just even change, fundamental change, where it is just completely smashing the whole system.
What do you think are some great new aspects of a new system?
For me, I would love to see, again, a lot of it has to come with funding. Another thing I want to do is use my position as a school board member, actually even for civil disobedience, so that we will be using that as the voice to organize rallies to go and demand the funds that should be in our schools. And once we have all that resources, I would love to see cafeterias in every school. Not only will it be providing healthy food for our kids, but a lot more jobs. Like,
do we not have cafeterias in all of our schools?
We don't have cafeterias where they cook the food. The food is delivered each day, and it's in some other processing plant where it is, high fructose corn syrup, genetically modified foods from companies such as Monsanto's or Arthur Daniels Midland. So it's not really healthy. It's really kind of crappy food. And what I'm proposing is that we're cooking vegetables. We're growing food at the school so that, okay, let's have every school produce 5% of its vegetables. Teaching our kids about agriculture. And then, talk about a bigger picture. What if we ever have an earthquake? You can't go to Safeway and get your food anymore. The people who know how to grow food, who know how to build stuff, those are the ones that will survive. Those are the ones that'll be feeding everybody else in the community. So I'd love to see cafeterias. I'd love to see a field on every school where elementary school kids can play football, soccer on an actual grass field, play NFL-style football on a grass field, baseball, kickball, whatever, and not just be these hard concretes. Aside from the fact that asphalt that they're running on is so bad for their body. It's completely horrible for their body. There's no cushion under it. So there's all these underlying small health concerns and things like that. That these are the issues that I would bring up. And again, those are real fundamental changes. The cafeterias, having big fields. Oh, free sports. Free sports. If you want to play on a sports team, great. We'll have A League, B League, however many leagues we can do. If you want to play, we're going to play, whatever your skill level is, because not everybody's going to go to college and play for Duke, or play for Penn, or play for the Sixers. But it shows that if you engage in sports, arts, music, the academics come better. You're more able to learn. So those are a few things that I would love to bring up, and where my passion lies is, again, revamping the whole school system.
We'll look more in terms of the actual learning that takes place. And the structure that's there.
Well, it is for me, again, a passion is that I feel that education is just as important, again, what the social education they're getting on the playground and how we structure that translates to academic. Definitely more science. Again, bilingual education I think is important. And not just Spanish either. I mean, I mentioned Spanish because we're in California, but they should have a choice between German, French, and Spanish. Because that's what they do at other international schools. And I can see where we have, my brother went to school with the Prince of Nigeria. He was a Nigerian prince, and his father sent him to White National School, where one day was English, one day was French, one day was Spanish. You get these kids that are supposedly in poorer countries that speak 3 different languages. So, yes, the academics are important, but as a sports educator, definitely my focus is I want to see the play, the arts, sports, and music, because I do believe that's a direct translation to how they're going to learn their math, their science, their reading and writing.
Why run for this school?
Education's my passion. Education's completely my passion. I have no desire to be mayor or a city council person. My focus has always been on education, because I think that is where it starts. If we can change the mindset of how we treat each other, again, not just academic learning, social learning, we change the mindset, and the education is where it starts, and we have to start it in elementary school. If we don't get it cleared up by the time that they go into middle school, it's pretty much all over.
But so what, how do you feel about those? How do you feel about all the problems that affect, essentially average youth? Their research shows there's typically higher marital discord. The environment that they grow up in is not the best, and all of that stuff. How do you feel like you can help educate them, even though they have all these other things that?
Well, I've already, like I said, being an educator at Parker, I was always very honest with my kids, and realizing that when they come to school, a lot of the things that we're teaching them, don't hit talk politely to each other, don't use the word nigger, don't cuss, don't use the word bitch for women. As soon as they leave the school ground, and again, a lot of my students live right across the street. As soon as they walk out, that is the environment that they live in. But if we can step up and be open and honest with that, it's like, okay, when we're here in this environment, this is what we're asking you to do. We'd love to see it out here too, but right now this is a safe place for us to treat everybody with respect, and then we want you to translate that to go on out, when you go out into the real world. The other problems, specifically for me, where I talk to my kids, is about drugs. Right? So I have my elementary school kids, and they were about to graduate. My fifth graders about to go to middle school. I was like, it's going to sound like a gang mentality. You all are going to have to stick together as friends, so that when they come to you, they go, you know what? I want you, come on, slang this for me. Just take this package from me. And if you're all alone and you say no, it's a lot harder with peer pressure, especially if that's the environment you grew up with. But if I got my friends with me, and we're all like, no, man, we don't mess with that. We don't even do that. We're on a different tip. It keeps them safe. It lets the dealer save face. It's like, okay, they just said no, let me back off. So talking openly, honestly, the truth of power with the kids. And that's how I would do it. Let's stop. Where we at?